Hi everyone, this is Rachel from the Healthy Room, and with me today is my friend Nicole, the period girl, and we're going to be talking about her apprenticeship program because we've spoken before and talked about the apprenticeship and the course that she offers, and I'm going to put a link to the video below, or if you're reading this in an email there. But I've been getting loads of emails from practitioners saying, "Hi Rachel, I'm also a practitioner, was it useful for you?" So that's pretty much what this video is going to be focusing on. So, hi Nicole, thank you for joining
Hi.
me.
Hi. I'm so glad we're talking.
I
I
know.
know we were like just saying before we got on video that it's been a while and you've had huge changes in your life. So yeah, it's exciting to finally reconnect.
I know. We were just saying it's like 4 years ago. So,
Yeah, it's amazing that you did the program that long ago.
I
I
know.
know, time flies, man.
I know. So, when I last looked at the program and just trying to think of the format it was in, so just to give people an idea of the format, could you just walk us through what it kind of looks like now?
Yeah.
Because I appreciate you've changed it a lot, which is one of the things that I liked is that you evolve it as science evolves. But
Yeah, trying to do that, meet people's needs, all
yeah,
those things.
yeah,
Yeah, so I figure, yeah, first of all, I think that one of the differences is that it's a 5 month program now versus a 4 month program. So it's 5 months long, and we would kick off in early March, or sorry, early April.
okay,
What month is it? Early April, and then run through August. And um, the the program begins with a 75-minute kickoff call where I'm introducing the program and everyone will introduce themselves. And it really is just like a get to know, kind of like a mixer, like a period mixer.
yeah,
And then the content of the program, I give everyone the option to check out my 6 year period program, the actual, program that I sell on my website as part of the program. And then the other part of it is 10 advanced training modules. And so that contains a whole bunch of information. Sometimes I think I overwhelm people, but I try not to because I feel like it gives them a lot to work with. And so the concepts that we cover are the endocrine system, hormones 101, the most common hormonal imbalances, what those look like, the symptoms related to them so that people can really start to recognize them. We talk about the most common conditions associated with hormonal imbalances, how to identify those. We go into, of course, like the food component, how to eat for optimal hormone balance. We talk about the different types of diets. I don't really subscribe to one particular diet, but I recognize that there are many, and it's really helpful to know all of this information. We'll talk about like macros and the vitamins, minerals, all those things. Then we dig into blood sugar, insulin dysregulation, how that cookie affects your period, all of that. We make all those connections. I feel like
yes,
that's really important for all of us to understand too and be able to convey to clients. And from there, we dig into gut health and your hormones, your microbiome, the estrobolome, all of that information, as well as thyroid and adrenals, their connection as well to your fertility, your menstrual health, and just your reproductive health in general. And then we'll talk a lot about female anatomy, ovarian function, menstruation,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
detoxification, which is a huge component of getting our hormones under control, as you well know. And then we'll talk finally about lab testing and supplements and all of that good stuff. So we'll mostly be focused on the Dutch test as I think is the gold standard when it comes to hormone testing.
I
And a
really like
variety
the
of other
Dutch
tests.
test now as well.
Yeah,
It's
isn't it
amazing.
incredible?
It is. It's
Yeah,
amazing what you can get out of it.
I feel like I know maybe 20% of what I should know about the Dutch test because it's so vast. It's
I know.
unbelievable. So we really try to touch on that, and we actually will have Dr. Carrie Jones, who is the medical director of the Dutch test, doing a guest teaching call on the actual test and telling everyone, kind of how to understand it and be able to not necessarily read or interpret, but to just understand so that you can then communicate that information to your clients. So that's the gist of the content. And with regard to the structure, we technically have 3 calls a month. And so the first one is a health and wellness Q&A call. Oh, sorry,
It's okay.
phone is not on silent. And that Q&A call is where, and like you've obviously been through this, Rachel.
Yeah,
So we're talking through case studies and different types of hormone tests, and you can kind of see what's going on with someone based on their test results, things like that. So I really try to make it interactive, and I've really worked on making it more and more interactive over the last couple of years. And then the business building call, this year I'm actually going to co-host those with my friend Molly Nichols, who's a fertility coach and a really successful one. And she has done, her focus really has been on fertility, but also on how to really, language is her thing. So how to speak to these people who are coming to you and trusting you with their health. And
She
so
runs
we're really
fertility
gonna,
summits, doesn't she?
she does, yeah,
Yes.
she
That's
does, exactly, yes.
funny.
She's done a number of summits, and so that's kind of been her thing. And she's just recently completed a 6-week free, I guess you could call it a course. And there was the option to upgrade for people, but it involved a lot of other fertility specialists. So she's really, really great at that. And I think that we're going to talk through a lot about longevity and how to stay motivated when this stuff gets hard, because it does. And
it does,
the
yeah.
comparing despair, right, that we all feel at some point or another. I mean, there's so many aspects to running a business, and it brings up your stuff. And so I really want to talk about that. Yeah, doesn't it though? Oh my
It does.
I know. A friend of mine once said that running a business is the biggest self-growth propellant there ever is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Because you have to deal with every bit of like, oh, I don't like doing this, but I have to do it, or I have to outsource it. There's no, you have to face it.
Girl, I know. Like the insecurities that it brings up. Oh, everything. I know.
Yep.
So I really, my goal ultimately was really to, and I've said this to you all before, but to really create a sisterhood, a group of women who are, doing the same thing or similar things, so you feel as though you're not totally alone sitting behind your computer typing away all day. And, one that you can tap into for collaboration opportunities, or just to say, I'm really struggling, or whatever it is. And I think that has been a key component of this program over the years. And so finally, we have the health and wellness calls, we have the business calls, and then we have these small group coaching calls. And so these are groups of 4 or 5 women, and this helps a lot of women. They're able to speak up, they're able to share problems that they're having, whether it's personal health issues or business.
Yeah, from my experience doing the course, the 2 biggest things that you can't quite quantify is, one, the group coaching calls, because we're still in contact and we've got kind of like our own mini mastermind that we still, it's not as regular as it used to be, but just the energy and the having an accountability buddy who's kind of, they speak the same language that you do. You don't have to sort of explain to someone and backtrack, and you can kind of share ideas and things. That was probably one of the most useful things for me. And the energy as well of everyone actually being focused and looking at the same thing at the same time. I found that really, really, really helpful, because 3 really, sorry. Because it's like the sum is greater than all the parts. When you've got everyone's energy and attention focused in the same way, it gives you so much more momentum just to get going. So even on like the business coaching calls, when you're talking about branding and things, when you've got everyone talking about it, then you're all kind of like, yes, we're all going to get on and sort out our websites or sort out this PDF. Yeah, that was something that was super, super helpful for me.
Oh my God, I just love that you're saying this so much.
Yes.
It's so great. I know. I completely agree with that. I mean, that was the first group sort of mastermind program I did many years ago. That was the same thing. It motivated me in a way that I had never felt before. And it's just so helpful, I think, to have women in your corner who are kind of in the same boat, and there's a collective desire to improve other women's lives. And I think that, my friend Aviva Ram talks about this a lot. She talks about, rising tide lifts all boats. And it's so true when it comes to women's health. I mean, not only are we doing it for our colleagues, but we're doing it for all these women who really need our help. And
Exactly.
I realized that a long time ago, and I know you probably know this too, is that we definitely can't help everyone. So we need a lot more women doing this work, I think, than there are currently. And
I agree, 100%.
Building women's health army, sister.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
I 100% agree. But that was probably one of the most productive times, actually, in terms of my content creation and stuff, because it sets you on fire. Yes.
Yeah. I was
And
always amazed by that. I was like, wow, Rachel has another vlog this week. That is super impressive.
now my practice is a bit too full for that, but that's a good thing, right?
That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, as I said, we're trying to tailor this call to what is useful for an experienced practitioner. And the difference between that energy in that group and when I've been in other sort of women's entrepreneur groups, when you sign up for an accountability buddy, and it takes you like a month to book in a call with each other. And then, if you don't achieve it, they're not holding you like properly accountable. And you could be working on two different things. So I found it so useful having all that together. It was just the energy, the focus, the enthusiasm from everyone. The friendships you make as well was really helpful. And then going on to the sort of technical side. So one of the things I really liked was the fact that you checked my application. You're like, you're already qualified. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, for sure.
um,
I'm a big believer in that. I have so much integrity when it comes to this, and I want someone to feel 100%. I mean, I want to be 100% about them too, but I want them to feel 100% that this is the right decision for them.
yeah, and I really appreciated that. But one of the things that you did that saved me so much time as a person who is already qualified elsewhere is the fact that you kind of stuck everything together rather than me having to go through 12 textbooks to get to the same story. It was
Oh,
kind of like a shortcut to get there. I was like, oh, right, yes. And because when we studied this, I knew the further bits of physiology going on that feed into that, but it's just the putting it together to make a whole picture. So it was kind of like a jump start rather than having to spend probably 2 years to get to the same answer through my own research. Just being realistic.
yeah.
So that was a huge benefit to me that I think a lot of practitioners don't realise. Oh, I'm already qualified in this, but in reality, a lot of the qualifications we do, you have so much data and information to wade through. So I really like the way you put it together. In like, it wasn't too sciencey, and that I was just thinking, what's that amino acid do again? It was in everyday speech, and I could go and look it up if I was like, yes, and I can go and research that. So I personally found that really helpful, and I don't know if necessarily you've got the same feedback from other people who are practitioners that have joined, but
I really appreciate you saying that.
does,
That was kind of my goal is that, yeah, there's tons of training programs now. There's a lot of information out there. It's really overwhelming. I find that, that women have said that to me. They said something along those lines, that it's been really helpful, just the way the content is broken down. I talk like a real person. I feel like
it helps.
we should communicate that information in that way too, because it can be kind of boring. I mean, let's be real.
I know.
Who the hell wants to talk about blood sugar? God.
Or inflammatory
So
cytokines.
yes, right, exactly. I mean, seriously. Oh, but yeah, really I think, using metaphors and analogies to explain all of this information is super helpful for everyone, regardless of your training background, and
Exactly.
helping you to then know how to translate it for clients or
That's exactly what
patients.
because
Yeah.
you've got to meet people where they're at, and if you come at them with a load of barrage of medical information and physiology studies, it's not going to go in. They're not going to come back to you because they're just overwhelmed and they don't know what you're
Right.
talking about. And it does actually really help to get yourself into everyday language, but still being accurate with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I know it is funny that, I always kind of think of it like I think about my relationship with my accountant, because he's trying to explain, and you have all the accounting background, so you definitely won't understand where I'm coming from with this. But every time
That's,
I'm talking to my accountant, he's explaining all these things. I'm just like, can you just tell me how to save money with my taxes and not tell me all this other stuff? Like, I don't need to know about it. I always try to now have so much more empathy for my clients when I'm busy trying to tell them all about what's going on and why they may have this particular condition and what's all happening on the background, or And usually they're like, okay, but like, how do I address this problem? Like, give me the solutions. And so I think that it's really helpful for us to keep that in mind too, that yes, we are super passionate about this information, but not everyone else shares that passion, sadly.
I know. I have actually gone to parties and started talking about periods.
Of course.
And,
How could you not?
I know. And people, you can tell I'm one of the, I don't know if you have this at parties, but you get the people that are in the main group and then you get the people chatting in the kitchen, and I'm always one of the people chatting in the kitchen.
Totally.
Yeah.
Same. I know, completely. It's so funny to me because I'm exactly the same way. And I'm like, let's just get a little group of people together and we'll just talk about, all the technical things. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes with me too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I'm not being them.
Yes.
Awesome.
I was kind of thinking if there's any last things that I want to share that were different. I mean, I know we've, in the past we've had guest expert teachers. We're going to have that sprinkled throughout the program again this time. The only, the other things too is that, anyone who applies, I cap it because otherwise it gets to be too much. But if you want to write a blog post on my website, that's an option as part of being in the program as well. And then we have a bit of a competition going. We started this last year for someone who wants to be on the period party as a guest.
That's your podcast, just in case anyone doesn't know.
Yes, right, exactly, the podcast, exactly.
And please subscribe if you haven't, because I really enjoy listening to it, and I think other people would too.
I really feel like it has been tremendously beneficial. In fact, we just passed over 20,000 downloads a month a couple months ago. I think we're at like 22,000 a month, which is insane. When I think back to our humble beginnings. But, yeah, so that is an incredible way to get your name out there and your work out there. And so, like I said, it's a bit of a competition, but everyone applies, or whoever wants to be considered applies, and they submit different interesting talking titles and that kind of thing. So that's a really cool bonus part of the program too. But I think that's it for the most part.
Yeah, but I think that's it too.
Yeah.
So I really just wanted to cover that because as I said, I had 11 people in my inbox over the weekend saying, what's it like for an experienced practitioner? And I was like, it's still really useful. I came out, the buzz, the energy, the excitement. I was so motivated to get things done in a way that I haven't had from trying to join masterminds and other groups as well. So I really want to reiterate that was just it. It's hard to quantify and it's hard to put into words, but it does make a huge difference. It really, really does. And the sense of community, everyone in the Facebook group's really friendly. Although having said that, if you don't check in like several times a day, the number of posts, everyone is so engaged, which is amazing. But wow, there's so much information in there.
I was extremely overwhelmed by my own Facebook group. But yeah, I know, it's true. I know. So I agree with that. Like everyone again is really hungry for the knowledge and just that, to do this work in the world. And I'm extremely grateful to be part of it because like I was saying before, this is what we need. We need a paradigm shift.
We do, big time.
With regard to women's health all over the world. It's not just in one particular country, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And then finally, I'm just going to tack on the end here. So if people want to sign up, I'm one of your affiliates.
Yeah.
If people want to sign up using my link, it costs them the same, but they also get on top. One of the things that a lot of people have contacted me about, other practitioners, is cervical fluid. So I'm writing a cervical fluid masterclass to help women with that. So they will get that for free and 2 half-hour Skype sessions with me, either to go through their own health or their clients if they want help figuring that out. So I'm going to put the links to that below. But yeah, so many people want to know.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, everyone wants to know about cervical fluid, which is great.
Yeah. I know, it's so funny, right? I know, everyone really does. That's amazing. Such a generous offer.
I know, and it's something that is interested other people because that was the one of my blogs that got picked up by the Huffington Post about 4 years ago. So,
oh, right, it's true.
Yes.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
so that must have been so popular on that site.
It was. It was do you remember I think they called it the panty challenge? Because women didn't know that they were supposed to have cervical fluid, so they were like, yeah, I don't have cervical fluid.
on a second. Actually, yeah, the panty challenge. I can only begin to imagine the comments on Huffington Post on a post like that.
Yeah, so I kind of wrote for them explaining why that was a problem. Yeah, and I probably got hundreds, if not thousands. So anyway, a cervical fluid masterclass because it can tell you so much about your health, and it's the one thing that the other apprentices ask about the most. So I was trying to think about the most useful thing to add as an addendum. So
Thank you.
yes.
Amazing.
So I think that's covered everything we wanted to discuss. I'll put the links below where to find Nicole's website, links, etc. So Nicole, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. It was amazing to chat with you. Thank you.